Okay, lovely. So 3, 2, 1, we are going live.
Okay, I see the attendees coming in. Hi, everyone. Well, just wait for a few minutes until everyone joins in. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Ecology webinar series. We will begin shortly. We're just waiting for everyone to join in. Okay, perfect. So, hi everyone. My name is Al Zakaria and I'll be the moderator for today's panel discussion. Firstly, I hope that all of you are keeping safe, all of you are staying safe, keeping well. These are trying times for the students, and certainly there's a lot of uncertainty. I mean, at this point, the WHO themselves they seem confused, and in such a situation, it's essential that we don't let our plans, our goals, our lives come to a standstill. It's even more important for you guys to get all your questions answered, to get all your queries solved. And so for that, today we have on our panel the right set of people from some of the best universities in the world. And just before we begin, there is this poll, just so that we know there's no logistical issue from our side. Okay. Perfect. So the majority of you are able to hear us, which is great. So, all right, perfect. So before we begin, I'd just like the panelists to briefly introduce themselves. Tell us a little about yourself, the school you're attending, maybe what you're majoring in, and something about yourself. So we'll go in the sequence in the order in which I see you guys. So let's start with Kainat.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Kainat Zakaria, and currently I go to the New York University's campus in Abu Dhabi. I'm a rising sophomore or a second-year student, and I'm majoring in economics as well as political science, so a double major. And in India, I went to the Emerald Heights International School, as did all of us in the panel here. And yeah, that's about me.
Perfect. What's up?
Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name is Utsav Singh and I'll be attending the University of British Columbia as a freshman. It will be my first year this fall, which is in Canada, Vancouver. And I hope to major in computer science and probably with statistics. Let's see how it goes. I'll be starting the university in September for the first time, unlike the other panelists here.
Lovely. Okay. Madhav?
Hey guys, what's good? So I'm Madhav Pandya. I'm a rising sophomore at Villanova University. I'm studying finance and management information systems. And it's been quite 8 months since I've been there. Right now I'm in India. And yeah, like all of you, this time really sucks. So yeah, just stay safe, everybody.
Thank you, Madhav. Pratna?
Hi guys, my name is Pratna and I am a rising sophomore in at Millsaps College. It's in Jackson, Mississippi, and I plan to major in economics and applied math and probably a minor in education. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's about it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for being here. It means a lot. And yeah, so before we begin, I just have another poll for our viewers here, which is what grade are you in? So I think I have a sort of prediction for this one, but let's see how it goes. Wow, okay, that was pretty quick. And yeah, um, so my prediction stands correct, but wow, I did not expect so many 11th graders, which is great. The fact that you're starting early is amazing. And we also have a few 10th graders with us, but the majority of students are in 12th grade. So, okay, before any, without any delay, we will begin with the discussion. So I think the first, a few announcements before we begin. We will first talk about writing essays, then we will talk about shortlisting colleges, then scholarships, and then student life. So I encourage all the participants to ask questions in that manner as and when we're discussing. For example, if you want to ask questions about writing essays, do that as and when we're discussing essays, and so on, just so that we're better able to address your questions. And we will also take questions at the end. So feel free to, if anything we talk about here doesn't relate to your question, then feel free to ask that at the end. So I think while talking about writing essays, I think we should begin with the Common App essay. So Kainat, when it comes to writing the Common App essay, so like what exactly is it that the university is seeking in that particular essay? Like what is it that they want to see?
Right. So I think the Common App essay is really important for absolutely anyone writing the Common Application, because it goes to every single college that you're applying to. Plus, it's supposed to give a sort of general overview of what you want to put through to the college that you're applying to. And this question is very basic, and it comes up a lot of the times when you're applying or you're going through interview processes. You're expected to talk about yourself, and you're asked the question, who are you, or like how would you introduce yourself? And it seems like a simple question, but you have to be very cognizant of your setting. For example, you'd introduce yourself differently to a friend or to a teacher or to a college, for example, which is why the Common App essay, I would say, you have to talk about what is important to you and what is also relevant to be telling to a university that you want to be admitted to. So there's a lot of brainstorming that's required. You have to sit and think about what is important to you as of now. Where do you see yourself going? And it's not necessary that it's in terms of, say, what major you want to do or what job you want to get or other very tangible goals, but just the values that you have maybe and what you're seeking for, like what you're seeking to achieve through your college education. So I guess those are the broad themes for the Common App essay.
Okay, Utsav.
I'll build upon what Kainat said. She covered what universities are looking for, and I'll talk about how to get started. For me, I did it a little bit late, but something which helped me a lot on how to get started was talking to people about it, talking to your friends, or for example, your seniors, or talking to teachers about your essay. Because this is my personal view. I feel a lot comfortable when I'm in a conversation and talking about my life with someone. Instead of just sitting alone and thinking about it. So in that particular conversation, things might get highlighted which generally wouldn't when you're just sitting alone. So in the counselor's room at school, or maybe talking to someone, perhaps your parents might remember a particular instance from your life that might help you understand that, oh, this is why you want to study computer science in your life, or maybe this is why you want to do this particular thing. So this helped me a lot. And brainstorming is a very important part. And don't just get stuck up on one idea. There might be many. You should explore all of them, but at the end of the day, you have to go with one. But exploring all ideas which you have is a must.
So Utsav, right off the bat, we have like a question for you, a question which would be relevant for you, which is that does the University of British Columbia want the Common App essay?
So for the University of British Columbia, or Canadian universities have a different form of application process. For example, if you want to apply to a particular group of universities in Ontario State in Canada, then there's an entire different process. University of British Columbia, as the name suggests, it's in the state British Columbia. So it's a very simple process, honestly. You just go on their website, you create an account, and then they have various prompts, something like tell us about yourself, describe 5 activities which you did in high school, and perhaps one more essay, which I feel I cannot remember, but it also relied on the same theme that about myself, my personal goals. So I think that was it for the application process over there. And then the normal letter of recommendations from schools.
So not exactly the Common App essay, right?
No. In the common application profile, you can see which, like when you search for your colleges, you can see when you search for that particular name on the college search box, then you can see whether they accept Common App or not.
Okay, perfect. Let's go on to Madhav.
Yeah, I guess with Common App, I guess the majority of the college admissions officer, what they seek for is how are you different from the rest of the applications. So the way I see essays in general is that essays do not compensate for bad grade or bad SAT score or bad AP score or bad subject test score, though it doesn't compensate for that. So what I see as a priority is that you should have excellent SAT scores, excellent grade throughout from 9th to 12th, good extracurriculars, good AP scores, subject scores, and especially for top colleges, essays play a huge part in getting in. So once you are like academically qualified, then they see how your values are qualified for this university. That's how I see it. You have to be academically qualified at all universities, but there are certain values I look for. Some universities may seek for community service, like being close to family friends. Some universities may see pre-professionalism. It depends on university to university. I remember UPenn, it looks for pre-professionalism, whereas Harvard looks for leadership. So these are certain qualities that top universities look for. They have a very certain niche set of outlook that they look for. So I would say research and have a general idea about what you are and what college is a fit for you. So I think it will really clear a way through which college you apply to. What are your values and what values are in your dream colleges, and then you should amend your colleges accordingly. Because say you're not pre-professional at all, you don't have a single internship in your entire high school career, and like you don't have a multi-billion startup, it doesn't make sense to apply to Wharton. I'm considering you're an engine and stuff. So it's all competitive. So I would say it depends from college to college, and then your subject, your college specific essays come into play and stuff. So it's a complex process.
Right. Thank you so much, Madhav. Pratna?
So I agree with what all 3 of them said. And I would have said the same thing, but then one thing that I would like to add is try to be yourself in your essay. Don't pretend to say something, or just in case your friend is writing that way, doesn't mean you have to write it that way, because they are going to different colleges. Or even if you're going to same colleges, the people who look through your essays, they know as soon as they read it that either you're pretending to be someone you're not, or this is actually you. So for example, in my case, my Common App essay was pretty like normal, I would say. I wrote about how reading changed my life. And so I would say, even if it's like a very basic topic, it depends on how nicely you write it. So yeah, that's the only thing. Like, don't pretend to be someone you're not, just be yourself.
Okay. So instead of like seeking, talking about something which is actually not relevant to you, like, are you saying it's more the way you put it out is in a way more important?
Yes, exactly. Like, it's okay if you write about something that others think is not really important, but you should write it in a way that it portrays that it is important to you.
Right, absolutely. Thank you so much, Patna. So, with the basic understanding of the purpose of the Common App essay, a lot of students came up with this question, which is that they're struggling to begin with the essay itself, right? So, where exactly do you get started on the Common App essay? Kind of.
Right. So I'd like to start a little bit by continuing on what Pratna was talking about, that you should write about anything that is important to you, even though it may be insignificant to others. For example, MUNs are something all high schoolers, I believe, do. Quite a lot of them, and I've seen a lot of people writing Common App essays who want to write about MUNs, because MUNs have been, for those of you who don't know, Model UN conferences are like debate competitions. If MUNs are important to you and you feel that you want to write about them, then you should, like no matter how many other people in your school are doing MUNs or in the world are doing MUNs, because any activity that you do, someone else will also be doing it. Like if Pratna was reading, I was also reading. A lot of other people were also reading. However, her connection or her learnings from that activity will be different from mine. For example, if you say write about being an athlete, you might be simply portraying that you have determination, you're hardworking, and you're passionate about something, or you might be portraying that you're going to take this up professionally. So, everyone can have different conclusions from something. Now, coming to how do you start a Common App essay, I would say that it's a long process and you have to be patient with yourself. You have to give yourself breaks to come back to it and build on it. I would say that the brainstorming process can start with, I'd say what I used, there is this person called the College Essay Guy. You can find him on YouTube, and he has a lot of brainstorming videos and exercises which were immensely helpful for me. He has the values and needs exercise, and the essence object exercise, and similar exercises. So once you go through them like seriously, you can see yourself like building a story or like talking about things that are important to you, which really helped me. For example, I did the values exercise with the College Essay Guy, and that is what the takeaway of my essay was. The highest value that to me was self-expression, and towards the end of my essay, that was the takeaway. So I would recommend the College Essay Guy, and I would also recommend writing drafts for the Common App. And the drafting process is going to last a long time. Perhaps Utsav will be able to give a better timeline because it's been some time since I wrote my essay, but I would say it took me months. I'd say at least 2 months to complete the essay. I started with a few brainstorming questions, and then from there on, I tried to mold it into the prompt of the common application. So yeah, that's what I have to say.
Right. Okay. Utsav, would you like to build on that?
I guess I'll start with the different prompts because I believe the prompts are the same as last year. Right. So the first thing when you look, what I did was I did not start with prompts. I did the value exercises and essence exercises by a college essay guy. His name is Eric Sawyer, I believe, and so I did those exercises, and as Kainat said that for her it was self-expression, for me it was independence and different things. So I started going in that line, and then talking about the drafting process, right? So it took me months as well. I started this time, or I started in summer basically. Seeing all the prompts of last year and reading sample essays, it kind of helped me because seeing how others write or how they are expressing themselves, it kind of gave me a certain, obviously not copying them, but it gives you a new perspective on how different kind of college essays there are. So you know that there's no particular format you need to follow for your college essay, right? If the prompt is asking for 800 words, it can finish at 650 words as well. But you need to know that by the end of the essay, you have expressed yourself correctly. And when a stranger is reading your essay, they know what kind of person you are. So all the seven prompts essentially talk about what kind of person you are at the end of the day. If it's talking about how you grew from, talking about a growth experience you faced or a challenge you faced, talking about a new idea which you have in mind. These all relate to what kind of person you are and who you will be, how you will be contributing to the community in the future. So one needs to keep that in mind. And again, the drafting process will take long, and you need to have people you can share the essays with. Teachers, trusted friends. You need to start doing that after. I believe it's up to you, but if you feel confident that, okay, this is a good draft, I can share it with the teacher and see what their response is. I can then build upon what they say. So I followed that particular thing.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Utsav. So, Madhav, based on the sort of questions we've been receiving, mainly we've classified students into two types, which is the first type of student doesn't have, a significant event which happened with them or her, which they, feel very strong about to put in their college essay, while the other type has just so many things which they want to include in the essay that they can't really pick one. So for the student who doesn't exactly have something so strong, something so significant to write about, what would your suggestion be for those students?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say like college admissions officers don't expect you to like win a Nobel at 17, get shot in the head, and then do something great for the world. They don't expect that, right? Neither do they expect that you need to have a multi-billion startup with like funding from VCs and stuff. They don't expect that. What they do expect is that you guys are normal teenagers with simple lives. Just talk about how you are different. Talk about something that's very small, insignificant to you, but it shows a great level of maturity and thought on your side. It shows your values. For me, like I wrote my Common App essay on reading newspapers. That is one habit that really differentiates me from a lot of my peers. The first in the morning, before even brushing my teeth, I read the newspaper, and it's a habit that I've continued on from like age 6 till now. The newspapers have changed, but my habit hasn't. So just write something that's totally different about you. Write a small, I would say, write a very small experience. Don't try to write a lot of stuff in just one essay. Try to write just one single experience, write about it, and then tell about what does it tell about you. Like, don't like I have seen people talking about their grandfather or their pet or something. That's great, but then they are not admitting your grandfather or your pet in the college. They're accepting you. So how does the story of a grandfather relate to you? That's what I would say. So I would say just Google, use YouTube well. It's a very great resource. Go for Khan Academy. They have tons of videos. I would also send a link of Amherst College admissions. It will explain how admissions are done normally in a liberal arts college. So it's basically first thing is numbers and then it's qualitative. If you don't qualify for numbers, it's very tough to break. It's very tough to break in the qualitative aspect. So yeah, it's all about brainstorming, and I'm sure everyone has a different story. You just have to brainstorm, sit down, take some time.
Right. So, Pratna, so what would your suggestion be for the other type of student who has so many things to write about? So, like Madhav said, the essay shouldn't focus on so many things that there's just a little of everything, and it isn't exactly focusing on one thing. So, what about the students who have so many things that they struggle with deciding what they want to put in their essay? And what was your experience? Was your essay kind of very well focused on one particular event? or was it like a essay with a wider view of multiple events?
Okay, so I would say that if you have a lot of things, uh, just start early and write down stuff. Like that is the best thing. Like if a thought comes in, just write it down. And by the end of like 2 weeks, you'll realize that you just write about something that obviously portrays you, and then you have stuff to write about. Like if you write about like, oh, I play video games, but then what else? Like it has to be more than just like telling that I play video games and I have virtual friends. It has to be more than that. So first thing, I mean, yeah, that you should have a lot of content on that thing. And if there's something that you're like, this is me, but I really want to put this in, so just try to add it in. But if it does not fit, don't force it there, because it will destroy the whole essay. And in my case, I was like, I started writing down the ideas, and by the end of like, I think first week or something, it was clear that I only have to write about reading. And then I basically started my essay how my friend gave me a book to read, how she forced me to read the book, and I basically ended up loving the author. And then I went on to read more books by him, and that's how I started reading. So it sounds very small, but my uh, the the faculty who read my essay at my college after I got in, he told me that he liked the way I wrote it. So that is the takeaway, that just write it down, start writing it down, keep editing it, and make sure it makes sense at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you so much, Pratna. And I think the main takeaway here is that just whatever it is, just get writing, just is to just get it on paper. And after this, we have actually multiple questions about this, which is a few things students should avoid in the essay. Like, what are the things they should not write in the essay, like which should absolutely not be included in their Common App essay. So, Kainat, would you like to just give a quick essence of what the answer to that should look like?
Right. As Madhav said, I think Madhav said, you shouldn't be writing like, there can be things, events, and people who matter to you and are important to your life. But when writing about them, you should make sure that the story comes back to you, because you're the applicant to the college. So you shouldn't write a story that is not talking about you and your values. Secondly, I think something that's very important is, you should not recollect or like repeat the activities that you mentioned in the activities section of the common application in your common app essay, because there is a reason. They're two separate things. The activities section is for you to list out the activities that you were taking part in, and the common app essay is a different thing. It's supposed to be what is important to you, what represents you as a person, your character. And I would say that Common App essay also plays a role in tying together you as an individual to your activities. So for example, in my essay, I wrote about MUNs because I'd done quite a few of them. However, I didn't list out the MUNs I had done. Instead, I talked about what the impact MUNs had in my life and on my personality. So that is something I would say.
Right. So essentially, it shouldn't be your entire profile on the Common App. So I think the main understanding here is that like the Common App essay is just so that the university gets to know you as a person. And certainly, you don't want to list out your like all your activities. You can certainly mention them as talked about by our panelists, but for listing them out, we have the activities section as said by Kaina. So before we move on, Utsav, if you could just talk about, the supplemental essays when it comes to college specific essays, right? So before we move on to discussing that, like what should the students be expecting? Like what is the number of essays which students have to write, and what should they be expecting going forward?
Uh, okay, this is a nice question. So obviously, in school, I was in touch with my seniors. All three of them are over here. So I knew that there will be lots of essays to write, and each college has different set of essays. Which for me, I researched my colleges, and I made an Excel or a Word, a document basically, which had all the prompts written in front of the college name. So they might be optional. They might be something to a particular school. For example, if you want to do engineering, why the School of Engineering in this particular college? So there might be different kinds of essays. There might be essays about why do you like this particular song, for either a scholarship or either for uh, just as a supplement. The prompts are easily available on the internet. You need to know how to research and just type the college and see their past prompts. This is a very nice activity. Like this is something which you should be doing right now, so that you have a sense. You know that after your Common App essay is done, you will be writing about this in the coming few months. Okay, and obviously researching colleges and their website are great resources. However, something which I found, college websites are very there are so many web pages that you might tend to get lost, because on this day you were on this particular web page, but after researching, after clicking on various links, you find yourself on a new web page on the next day. So you need to know, you need to keep writing down things about your I guess about your college which you're researching about. Maintain a Word file, Excel file, whichever software you are comfortable with, and start writing them down from now.
Perfect. So while what's talked about like the importance of researching, certainly if you're writing why you want to go to that particular university, you need to know like about you need to know like clearly why you want to go to that university. And so, Madhav, my question to you is that what resources did you use while researching about the college? Like, what, according to you, are the best resources to maybe know the curriculum of that particular university, to know if they're more academic oriented or if they, treat co-curriculars and academics at the same level?
Sure, that's an excellent question. So like what I understand from question is like college list, how do you sort them, how do you select the college? First of all, college rankings are shit. Like just believe it, those are completely useless. Like you cannot compare Harvard and Yale. It's similar possible. It depends on your major. If you're a math major, go to Princeton. If you're a humanities major, go to Harvard. It's basically like that. So like I feel, how can you sort a college 1, 2, 3, where some colleges are maybe good for one, maybe good for you, but not for the other person. So I would say look more major specific rankings. Use US News. You can surely find the free rankings anywhere. Use Niche. It's really good. And also like just Google search. Look what you want to do in your future. Say you want to end up in Wall Street. You want a college that has good connections to Wall Street. Stay close to Northeast region, then going on the West Coast. It doesn't make sense, right? Like be region specific. The East Coast is great for Wall Street. West Coast is great for tech. That's the general stereotype. It may change, but that's how it normally goes. Midwest mostly for engineering sciences. South mostly engineering. So that's how it normally goes. Further on, I would say colleges. Some colleges, like the top colleges, the top 20, 25, even 35 for a conservative approach, they all have like some things that are really differentiated in them. Okay, it's like some colleges are like really community oriented, some are like really leadership oriented. It depends what the culture is, and you only get the vibe. It's called a vibe of a college, and you only get the vibe of a college when you visit the college. uh, do virtual, try to read people's opinions. The resources that are most essential is Reddit, single most essential resource, way better than Wikipedia, way better than Google. Like that's how I got in college, believe me. So Reddit, applying to college and international to USA, great communities. Join Unigo, College Confidential, great resources again, and just learn to Google stuff. Like a lot of people don't know how to Google. Like it sounds very simple. You just type it right now. Like you can use apostrophes and simplify your approach. Learn how to use Google. Spend 30 minutes on it. you will be rewarded so much. So just use that, talk to people like us, talk to people in the college, select a very realistically dream college. Some people just end up applying to colleges which they don't, stand a chance at, like me and a lot of people. It simply doesn't make sense to apply to like top colleges like Wharton if we need like 90% of financial aid. Doesn't make sense. Even on top of that, if you have a shitty SED score, bad extracurriculars, doesn't make sense. Be very realistic. So yeah, those are my top tips for college list and stuff. And yeah, hopefully just reach out to people.
Right. Thank you, Madhav. So I think the main takeaway is to make best of the resources which you already have, right? So for instance, just enhancing or maybe, using Google in a more efficient way. And as the Madhav said, Reddit, which is basically a community of people. So I think reaching out to current students, university students who are there in the university in which you're interested is also a great idea. One of the best ways you can learn about the university is to talk to the people who are in the university. So Pratna, so for you, what was that one key factor which kind of differentiated between which was the differentiating factor between the universities which made it to your college list, as opposed to those which did not?
So while I was looking at the universities, obviously I took a lot of help from my counselor, but then the other thing was I would make sure to talk to people who are already studying there. Like there is nothing better than getting a first-hand review of or like how the college is. And for in my case, I just wanted to go to a small college, so that's why I chose Millsaps. But then obviously there are people out there who want to go to bigger colleges. Um, so I would say talking to the person there was like one thing that I did that I actually remember doing. So yeah.
Right. Okay. So according to you, Kainat, while you were again shortlisting colleges, researching about colleges, would you agree with Madhav and Pratna? And was it similar to you? Were these the key requirements? Were these the differentiating factors between the universities which made it to your list?
Okay, so I personally feel that a college list is very personal to the student who's applying. It has to be very specific to each one's needs, and which is why you can't really generalize how one should go about making a college list. I believe that the best way to go about it is to make a list of the priorities you have. Your priorities can be the biggest one, financial aid. What is your financial standing, whether you're seeking a scholarship, merit based, or financial aid? That is one. The other is naturally what you're wanting to study, and does the college have a program in that? Is the program up to the mark with your liking? Then the location, I mean, I would say the location and other stuff should be towards the end of your list of your checklist. Financial aid, the program, and yeah, I would say these things are what matter to me: the college size, the teacher to student ratio. Yeah. So for my college list in specific, my eliminating first filter was scholarships and financial aid. So I applied to those colleges which would meet my requirements, which were, say, need blind, or which were generous in their financial aid programs. And then I went on to major and then to the college size.
Right. So again, about the college list. So we have a question, which is researching about the college and then connecting yourself to those qualities which you find in the students of that university, and then sort of connecting that to your essay. Is that a good idea? Like, is that something you would encourage the students to do? Utsav, what's your opinion on that?
Um, I guess talking about essays are a very uh, personal thing for the entire college application for each particular applicant, right? So it clearly depends about how, like, if you feel comfortable with that particular approach, and at the end of the day, whether that essay fits the prompt. You also need to know whether for college essays, you need to know whether it's fitting the prompt or not, because if you're talking if the essay is about how you will contribute to the university campus, and you're writing about why I like this particular campus and what my values are, then it does not make sense. You need to know you need to know the prompts, and the best way to go about that is, as Madhav said, not only going to applying to college, the Reddit community, you should also go to the Reddit community of that particular university, because during this entire, like, this fall season, during the entire admission process, these Reddit communities get a lot of questions from prospective applicants. They might have a separate ask me anything AMAs for this particular query. So you need to go to that particular university's Reddit page as well. So that helped me a lot for many of my universities, because there will be sophomores, or there will be like seniors willingly answering your questions, and they're telling you the right thing because they're studying over there. And getting a perspective from the student is very different from from a college representative, because they're telling you how they're living, like their entire life. They're telling you over there. And college reps, they are obviously selling the university to you. So you should know how to use these type of platforms. And again, following the path, or if you want to research about university and then see their values, I guess it's a good part to take, I guess. At the end, you should feel comfortable with what you're writing.
Right. I think I believe Kainath, you have something to add on to what Utsav said.
Yeah, this question really resonates with me because that is something I did absolutely 100%. I feel that colleges love it, like at the admissions office, it loves it when you can show them how the core values of the university are also your core values, or how you are compatible with those values. So, for example, NYUAD is a small school and they value experiential learning a lot. They have their NYU, the network has 14 campuses across the world, and they have classes in international locations and everything. So that's something that is important to them. And so, for example, in my essay, I talked about my student exchange programs and how I learned the best when I was in the location I was learning the language of. Like, for example, showing how you fit into their values or their idea of education is a great way of writing your why us essay, I think.
Okay, and while Kainath is explaining that, there are actually two questions for you which are relevant to you, Kainath. The first one being, does NYU AD give good scholarships and financial aid, and how do you apply to NYU?
Right. So for applying to NYU AD, that is the Abu Dhabi campus, or the Shanghai campus even, there is the same application that is for New York University on the common application. So you go there and you apply, and when you're filling out the questions, there will be an option to select which campus you would like to apply to, and you can give an order of preference, so you can select one campus of the three. So that's about the application process. About scholarships, NYU AD, I would say, is very generous with financial aid. It doesn't give out merit-based scholarships. However, it does meet 100% demonstrated financial need. So yeah, I would say that they're need blind and they're very generous.
Okay, so while we did talk about shortlisting colleges, I think the main takeaways here are that students just need to make the best out of the resources they have right now, because certainly they are sufficient and it worked for you guys. So just making the best out of the resources they have, talking to the current students of that particular university, if it's reaching out to them personally, or if it's going to Reddit pages of that particular university, And for some of you, a key requirement, a key differentiating factor was the need blind and the need aware factor of the universities based on the kind of financial need you needed and the assistance you would have required. So basically, it comes down to you personally, right? So apart from that, Pratnam, Madhav, am I missing on something when it comes to shortlisting colleges?
No, I think that was all. You covered all the points.
Yeah, I guess I would put more emphasis on financial aid. Like if you apply for financial aid at a college that is like it has need-based admissions, your chances reduces significantly. That's a fact. Colleges may basically look for international students uh, for money. That's the hard truth. I would put simply bluntly, the reason they admit internationals is for money. Historically, that has been proven fact. So you're basically asking college to invest money in you because international students do not qualify for federal grants or federal loans, and the college has to literally like give you money from their own pockets. So it's basically like asking them for money. So you need to justify why do you like how do you justify it? Like if you're awarding me 200K over 4 years, what are you what like on what basis should we give that to you? So yeah, applying financial aid is a great factor. It can differentiate everything. Even a great application, if you apply for good financial aid, and the university doesn't have money, they're like, sorry, bro. So I'll send an article for just a read to have a greater sense of what's going around after COVID and stuff. I'll put it in the chat box.
Right. So that's actually quite interesting what Madhav said, and adding on to that, I actually was I have a question for you guys. I was wondering that like after the entire pandemic, after the entire COVID situation, as Madhav said, international applicants are more or less seen as cash cows. Like they're the ones who bring a lot of money to the university. But after this global pandemic, we also see a lot of students deferring their admissions, right? Which would mean that for the class of 2025, the number of seats a university has was certainly reduced. So, in such a scenario, do you think the amount of scholarships the university gives away, will like the number of scholarships, will they go down according to you? And if so, what's the best way the students can prepare to embrace that situation?
Yeah, I think I've been like reading a lot about this for the past few months, and some colleges are going under, like they're going really bad. So like small liberal arts colleges, they are being hit really hard by the pandemic. They didn't qualify much for the small loans by the administration as well. So they're hit really hard. And at this point, I would say they would only take. This is what I think. They would take more students who don't need much aid or who are willing to pay the entire fees. And the top colleges, at least the top 50 big universities, won't be impacted that much. But I would say at least for a couple of years, they would be really hard impacted. So I sent out like two reads in the chat box. Have a look at it. It's a great look at the colleges, and it will tell you which colleges will thrive, which will survive, which is going to go down. So yeah, I would particularly avoid applying to small liberal arts colleges at this point of time because those are the most vulnerable. And otherwise, coronavirus and stuff, it's gonna impact everyone disproportionately. And so, if you, I would suggest maybe if you know that a profile is not okay at this point of time, look at applying later for masters or something, and be cautious right now. Have a backup always. Have a backup ready. Apply to your home country as well. Look at options in Europe. There are several options. Look at Canada, easy immigration. You have Trudeau. He won't kick you out. So like, just research your way well, and like be ready for uncertainties. Like it's not under our control. Even if you say invest so much of money, what if H-1B visa status changes? So it's, I don't know. At this point of time, it's very uncertain. So keep your options ready. That's my single most important advice. Just be very open-minded. You can always apply for masters, and even if you don't get a good college, it's completely fine. Like it's not the end of the world completely.
Okay, Pratna, would you agree to what Madhav said? Like, according to you, what's the best way students can prepare themselves for this situation?
I would say instead of like if you're planning to apply to 10 universities, just make sure to apply to a little more, like around 15 probably, so you have more options. And there are obviously it's not the end of the world if you don't get into the university you like. Certain times you end up at universities you didn't want it to, and it still turns out good. But always have a backup plan, that is for sure. Apply to your home country as well, just in case. But yeah, that's I agree with whatever he said.
Utsav?
Again, I guess explore your options. Like, don't just restrict yourself to the perspective that, okay, I want to go to a university in the United States of America. That's my entire goal. Like, know why you're applying to university, not in your home country. For example, for me in UBC, I will get to have co-op programs, and I'll graduate with tons of work experience, at least 16 months of work experience, and that will be on my student visa itself. So I won't have to, like, obviously I would have to apply for a work permit, but the entire process is very smooth for co-op students. And in I'm just seeing the postings right now on job websites. There's an entire different section for co-op students there. So obviously that helps. That's the entire reason I applied, because it would help me as a CS major, right? And again, there are opportunities in India, but they're just starting as well, because you have universities offer you internships, and there are companies which are taking freshman students. But obviously, those things are well established over there, and that was my goal for applying there. Europe, some of my friends are going there. You can research about universities in Singapore. There are many universities which offer, like, for example, Northwestern University has a branch in Qatar, Doha, Qatar. NYU has different branches in different countries. So your goal should not be that I want to study in the United States. Your goal should be about education and what you'll be graduating, the entire experience you'll be graduating with.
Okay. Kainat?
I have two things to say for how COVID-19 affects the classes applying right now. For the first thing is that there is always a factor of uncertainty in how your application is going to turn out, because there are so many things that they assess. There's LORs, there is your essays, your activities, your scores, everything. So, and also from the side of the admissions office, they're trying to build a class for them, for their college, right? So naturally they're not going to take all people who are going to be interested in engineering if it's a liberal arts college, because they would also want people from other disciplines who are athletes or who are social scientists, etc. So these are things that you cannot control, just how you cannot control how COVID-19 and classes deferring will impact your scholarship or your seats. That is something that you can't control, and you should write your best application. The second thing is that colleges are also aware of what is happening naturally, and they're taking actions to prevent hard hitting your class. So, for example, NYUAD, the freshman class that is coming in this year, they're offering them to either start a semester later, that is, start in spring instead of fall, and they're going to offer an extended summer so that these students can cope up with, like, take extra classes and catch up for the one semester that was lost. So they will essentially not be in the same pool as your class. And I believe other colleges are also taking different measures to accommodate for this.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kaina. That was okay. See, that's pretty interesting. But then again, I mean, at the end of the day, we can't exactly control the entire situation. I think the best way we can deal with it is to just be cognizant of what is going on and deal with it the best way we can, which is as suggested by all of the panelists here. And so, moving on, let's talk a little more about scholarships. So, let's start with you, Kainat. So, while did you apply for any merit scholarships or financial need? And if you did, how did that process look different from the general application process?
Okay, so I applied to a total of 7 schools, and then I stopped applying because I got admitted into my ED1 school. So I did apply for merit based scholarships, and I did apply for financial aid as well. For merit-based scholarships, it depends on each school. Some schools just consider you simply when you submit your common application. However, others have different extra essays or other requirements if you want to apply for a merit scholarship program. For financial aid, there is this thing called the Css profile that you have to fill out. It has all the information that the colleges require in order to assess your financial standing. You have to fill it out, and you have to turn it in after your common application is turned in. So so that's the way for applying for financial aid as opposed to merit scholarships.
Okay, and Utsav, could you talk about your experience while if you applied for any merit scholarships? How did the process look different than the usual one? And if you could just tell us the difference between getting a merit scholarship and the financial aid, the difference between the two.
So I applied for scholarships in both United States and Canada, and as Kainat said, it's case specific. A university might ask you to write essays, or they might just give you scholarships based on your academic profile. They might see that okay, this student has good grades and they are eligible for this particular scholarship, which is just given to international students with good grades. There are different scholarships in different universities for different kinds of things. You might be eligible for any. You need to research about those particular things on their websites, obviously. And the essays, again, the same thing applies, which other panelists said for Y college essays or common app essays. The essay should fit the prompt, and it should represent your profile, and it should represent you. And talking about scholarships and financial aid is I guess most of the university at the end of the day, they assess your CSS profile and then determine financial aid. If they have money available for you, they might meet your full aid. If they are need blind, you should also research about need blind and need blind universities, and mostly try to apply to those. And again, merit scholarship is given on merit basis, and then financial aid is assessed by a CSS profile. And CSS profile, make sure you sit with your parents and fill it out. It asks for many details, and just yeah, that's all, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And also, while you're answering this question, there are 2 questions I want you to answer, which are in the chat box. So the first one is, since you applied both to the United States and Canada, what was the fees for the application fee per university? Like, what was the average amount per college?
Again, this should also come into shortlisting colleges. Talk to your parents about these things, because the number of universities you want to apply to, because each college application in Common App, you'll have to give certain amount of non-refundable fee, right? It can range from $65 to $85. This is USD. And then some universities, for example, University of Chicago, if you are an international student applying for financial aid, then they won't ask you for any application fee. But again, it's a very selective university. So there are different fee structure, and you can see that on the information box in the common application page for each university when you make your list. So you, make sure you note them as well, and then talk to your parents about it, or perhaps ask your counselor if they can fill out a financial aid form for that particular university, which will waive the college application fee. So you can do that as well. So, and the other question was?
Yeah, see, the other question was, does the University of British Columbia have need-based scholarships
Um,
or need-based aid?
Uh, so University of British Columbia offers merit-based scholarship, and then it also offers it has a thing called International Leaders of Tomorrow. So for that, you need to give your entire financial profile, and then based on that, after assessing that particular profile, the university will decide if they will be so that particular thing. For all the attendees, you should Google it, International Leaders of Tomorrow. And there are many nomination-based scholarships, either in United States or Canada. Or, many universities have nomination-based scholarships. That means that from, for example, from this particular school, the counselor can only nominate 1 or 2 students for this particular scholarship. Other students might apply normally, but for this particular scholarship, the counselor and the principal of the school has nominated this particular student. So the International Leader of Tomorrow is that thing. So they assess your merit academic profile, they see your financial profile, and then they see whether they will be able to meet half of what you can meet. So it's not full scholarship. It's they try to meet as much as they can based on your profile.
Thank you so much, Utsav. Moving on, Madhav, how did the procedure look different for Lenovo University? The process of applying for a merit or need-based financial aid.
For my university? Yeah, so like for my university specifically, they don't they have merit aid. Like if you guys, I don't know where you guys are exactly from, in the attendees, but if you guys have your final exam, like in the month of March, you cannot apply for this particular scholarship because they invite people on campus. But there are several opportunities in Villanova for merit-based scholarships. They aren't that much time-friendly for international students, though. Need-based scholarship, you just have to submit a bunch of documents, bank statements, Css Profile, and a bunch of stuff. It basically filters out student. What they want is that people, I know people in my college who are there paying entire fees, international students. Majority of them are rich Asian kids paying the entire fees. Next bunch of kids are, people who have a good amount of financial aid, and then the people who are on really good financial, like more than 90% of total cost of attendance. So yeah, it depends from university to university.
Right. Thank you so much, Madhav. Moving on to Pratna, who is a Next Genius Scholar, which is one of the most prestigious scholarships. Pratna, could you talk about what the procedure for Next Genius look like, and who are the students who should really consider this scholarship? What kind of students should consider applying and registering for Next Genius, and which ones should not? And what was the procedure like, basically?
Okay, so it's called Genius Scholarship Program, and they have a list of they have 15 universities, I think. So definitely people who are interested in those universities should apply for this thing. And the procedure is pretty simple. You apply for it through Next Genius, like you apply to Next Genius basically, and then they send you. You have to pass a quiz kind of a thing. It basically tests your analytical skills and math skills. It was pretty easy. You do once you pass that quiz, they ask you to put in a preference of your college in out of those 15 colleges, and then after a few days they send you the college that you have been selected for. And after that you pay I think it was like 2,000 rupees just to book a seat basically, that you are interested in this. And then just through Common App, through Common App you apply to that college, and then the representatives from those colleges, they come to India, and then they interview you. So you get to meet them in person. They get to see you, what kind of a person you are, and your social skills and everything. So I went to Mumbai in January of my of in 12th, when I was in 12th class, and I had an interview. Like, it was a whole day of just interviewing with them. It was a group interview, and after that they decide, and the next day is when they tell you what kind of a scholarship you got. So I am on a merit scholarship at Millsaps, so it's pretty easy. Definitely, if you're interested in those colleges, those colleges are basically liberal arts colleges. So if you're interested in them, it's a really good way, and it's pretty simple, I would say.
Okay. Thank you so much, Pratna. With that, I'd just like to talk a little about the student life. So what do you guys do on campus, and just generally about that. So why? So this question is in particular to those of you studying in the United States, which is that, for a lot of students, like Utsav said, the students shouldn't think that I want to study in the United States. They should rather look at that university, and their eventual aim should be to get in that university, and not that they want to just go to the United States. And there are certain reasons for that, which is the entire party culture in the United States. And for some students, it's mostly about getting that experience. So what would you say to those students in particular? Let's start with Madhav.
Yeah, I guess people apply for different reasons. Some just want to escape from the country, study somewhere else, and then get back for work back in the country. Some people just want to immigrate. So it's different for different people. There's some people who would just want to go to US for partying. Good reason for if you want to go for it. There are a bunch of colleges for you. If you want party schools, there are party schools for you. If you want academic oriented schools, there are schools for you. If you want a balance, you got a balance. You got a large size school, you can get that. Small size, there are all type of universities that you can look for. In particular, what my motivation was to work in the US. I wanted to live in a capitalist country and to escape from a socialist democracy. So that was my reason, and people have this reason very much often. Completely okay. Uh, just be open to your options. That's, again, I'm reiterating myself. Uh, just know why you're applying at this college, and when selecting a college list, have a very sense of what the school actually is, and does it reflect your values. So for Villanova, it was, I would say, one of the top five colleges, mostly because good voucher connections, great business program, and great location. That was my reason, and I ended up making it, luckily. So it just depends on your why. What is your reason? And there are people who are concerned about USA being like a party school and stuff. It's there. Like, you can't avoid it. Like, if you don't want to go to parties, no one will force you. If you don't drink, no one will force you. They'll respect you. If you don't eat meat, great, they won't force you even. So I would say it's they won't push you until you ask to be pushed. So it totally depends on you. I'm a vegetarian for my 18 years of my lifetime. Never like hardly ate meat in my life. So I had problems for food and stuff, but it's okay. So completely depends on how you want your college experience to be like. Yeah, totally dependent on you.
Okay, Pratna, would you like to add on to that?
Yeah, so you also asked what we do on campus, like extracurricular. So for me, I started doing Model UN after coming here, and then there's this thing called mock trial. That definitely helped me improve, like, socially, and it's pretty fun. And I am also the part of the Indian Association on campus. But yeah, you get to do a lot of things. It basically depends on how involved you want to be. Like, I know people who are not involved in any of these, and I know people who are involved in more than this. So it depends on how involved you want to be. And secondly, yeah, I know people, I mean, I get it when people say that, oh, I want to go to US just to party. I get it, but then like for 4 years of your life, all you want to do is party. But then obviously everybody has different motivations, I would say, to get into colleges. So definitely nobody, I agree with what Madhav said. Nobody is gonna force you or like to do something till you don't. If you don't want to do, nobody's gonna force you to drink or anything. But at the end of the day, you are the one who decides what kind of a college experience you want. So I would say there are party schools, so it depends on what you are looking for. Like, if you want to party for 4 years of life and just go back to India after that and not get a job here, sure, go to the party schools. But there are really good party schools that they have really good academics as well. But yeah, it is there, you cannot avoid it. So decide wisely, because it's 4 years of your life. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Thank you, Pratna. So, talking about student life, unfortunately, Utsav, you won't be able to go to the campus this semester. So, like, what exactly is UBC doing as of now? Have you started with your online classes, or like, are there any events going on? What exactly are you doing these days?
My classes start from September 8th, but the orientation program for incoming students, the Jumpstart program for UBC, which is generally from 24th August to 7th September, and over there, the entire thing has been shifted to the online platform, and we'll be following the same timetable. And talking about things which UBC has done for us, for incoming first year students, we've had two trivia nights where, like, for Faculty of Science. So I believe for other faculties, they might have done the same thing. But for Faculty of Science, we've had two trivia nights. One was specifically science oriented. Uh, we were given we were divided into breakout rooms, and then there were people. I was in for the first one, I was in a breakout room which had two people from India and one from Indonesia, and the other one had one from Canada, United States, and France. So these type of things UBC is doing, and there are in their emails they're saying that they will continue to do these things, so that even if we are at home, we know we don't miss the part of socially interacting with your college students. Obviously, it's not something which I had in mind while applying, but there's nothing we can do. And the best I can do is appreciate the efforts which the university is doing, and making sure that we all still get to see each other and talk to each other. And the entire class format has changed. We've had some orientation programs about how each class will go. For example, my computer science class, whether it will be synchronous or asynchronous, and how my labs will work, and dividing 1,000 students into groups of 10 with each with one teaching assistant, TAs, then we call them. So yeah, these type of things are being done by the universities, and I guess this is not just specific to UBC. This is being done by all the universities are accommodating to this change. This is one important thing. If you're reading articles about students who are doing their summer terms, or maybe who shifted to online school in the month of March, April, this is something which UVC highlighted, was that they do not expect to follow the same thing in September. In September, they intend to plan everything, because obviously in the month of March, these things were very sudden. The universities did not know what to do, but they've been sending out constant emails about what the pattern will be. So their main goal is making sure that the incoming first years experience the student life. That's all.
And we have one question about online classes, which is that how do the universities deal with the time difference? Like, is there anything in particular which they decide on doing, or like are you gonna spend up most of your nights up? How
Uh,
are university?
so while registering my courses uh, on my portal, the university had a small notice box which said that this particular time for they have scheduled a lot of evening classes in Vancouver time, so that students in Asia, they can log into the class in like for us it will be morning here for their evening. So the notice box simply said that students in Vancouver time or nearby region, we recommend you not to register in this particular time slot, so that international students in different time zones can register. And also the concept of asynchronous and synchronous classes. There will be recorded lectures and these type of things, and then there would be breakout sessions with teaching assistants explaining us things, professors. Uh, uh, these type of things are being done. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so my next question is for Kainat, which is also a question we have from one of our attendees, which is that we did talk about student life in the United States, but since you're studying in UAE, there are a lot of preconceived notions about the culture and the country in general. So does your student life look pretty much similar to what Pratna and Madhav are experiencing, or what Utsav will experience when he goes to Canada? Or if not, then how is it different than their experience?
I agree with your point that there are a lot of preconceived notions about the Middle East in general, I would say. And when I was applying initially, I did have those preconceived notions as well. However, what I was thinking when I was applying was that my experience will be very different from those of my peers, because I will be going to an American university in the Middle East, and that gives me a lot of exposure to a different culture while having a liberal arts education. And also because my college is very diverse in its nature, so there are students from 70 plus countries, and they speak 120 languages and everything, so it's very, very diverse and dynamic in that sense. um, I would say that after going to the UAE, I have there was like I've certainly learned a lot more about the culture, and I've like learned a lot more about how people see the Middle East, and as opposed to how it is, and how welcoming a community it is. As When it comes to talking about student life, I would say that my experiences are pretty similar to those of my peers in the US. I would say that wherever you go to college, there will be partying, and there will be a social life that you have to pick and choose from as to what you want to get involved in and not. There is a partying scene in my university as well. However, it is certainly different from that in the US. We do not have frat houses and fraternities and sororities and stuff. But we do have our own campus culture.
Right. Right. Thank you so much, Kainat. That was really helpful. And the next question is actually for you. So the next question from one of our attendees is the NYU AD degree valued at par with its American degree in terms of placements?
Right. So the NYU network, it has 14 campuses. However, only three of them are degree granting. So the New York campus, the Abu Dhabi campus, and the Shanghai campus are degree granting colleges. And I would say that the degree does hold at par with the general NYU label, because there are students who from NYU apply to school. Yes, a lot of them. I know friends are going to say and Yale, etc. So I would say that the degree does hold the weight that it would from the other campus. However, the job opportunities do change because the location is different. And say if you were studying in the US, getting a visa for working in the US would be easier for you after graduating. However, if you're studying in the UAE, it's more likely that you'll get jobs in the UAE.
Right. Thank you so much. Okay, so the next question, the next set of questions which we've received have more to do with the standardized testing. So the question is that many universities have now gone SAT optional, SAT, ACT optional. So do you think this will make the students, like those students who do not submit their SAT scores, who are not able to get their SAT scores, in a way, will it make them less competitive as compared to those who submit SAT scores? Um, if any one of you would like to take the question.
Uh, uh, I can speak about it because of during my application process, like I was on lots of university Reddit communities, right? So when the admission decisions come, so there's an entire mega thread of students stating their stats and whether they got into the university or not. So I was at University of Chicago's Reddit page, and it is also SAT optional. It was before this entire COVID pandemic. It was SAT optional. So there, it honestly it's quite unpredictable because when you look at these threads, when you look at the students posting about their grades, their major, their nationality, or and all their entire profile, and then you compare it with someone, you compare it you can't compare it with students in their own locality itself because it's so unpredictable. There would be students getting in universities with 90% or 85%, but there will be a student who had 97%. There will be a student who had SAT score of 1570 but did not get in, and there will be a student who gave SAT optional and did not send scores who got in. So honestly, if I were to sum it in one word, it's quite unpredictable. You can't even make a prediction based on the trends, or if you're looking at threads of past 2 3 years. If like honestly, if the other three have any other perspective, I'd like to hear that as well.
That's an interesting one. Like it's like personally, if I had the chance, like say you're an admissions officer and you have a bunch of profiles, right? So I would say having numbers help them out basically. If you give them numbers, they will know how to compare people. They can't compare on qualitative matters, but if you give them numbers, they can see, hey, this person's 1570, this is 1500. So of course, this person's better in SAT. So give them numbers. As far as I can, that's the best advice I can say. Give more numbers to your college. Take the SAT, take subject tests, take APs, uh, good scores in academics. Give as many numbers as you can. But I understand some people will not be able to take the SAT this year. So you would have to compensate it with really high academic scores to, to be able to justify like your SAT basically. So I would highly recommend, if you have the chance, take the SAT and test optional colleges. Uh, the thing with test optional colleges, which I find, they're mostly test optional because they want more applicants. There's an entire system of acceptance rates and yield rates. I won't get into details of that. People, in gist, I would say, colleges tend to have no application fees, test optional, no essays, all that stuff, just to get more applications. And at the end of the day, they know who they want to select. It just looks great that acceptance rate is 15%, 12% and stuff. Whereas you just, like, one college in particular is Colby, and there's Tulane, U Chicago as well. U Chicago is like, I believe it's one of the very overrated colleges. Just because they have hyped their acceptance rate that much. So just be smart about it. If a college is test optional, no essays and stuff, you might want to think twice before applying there. Have a good network there, show interest. Okay, so I would put more value on demonstrated interest in a college. Reach out to professors, alumni, students there, and write it in your essays. If they don't require an essay, send it anyway. Like, email them to the admissions office, say, hey, I talked to these people, I love your college, and I would love to get in and stuff. Just show interest. And I would say everything is about networking. in the real world, in the real professional world, you have the skills, great, but if you don't know how to do networking, you're far behind. So I would say business majors out there, I mean, it's how you start college, start doing networking, use LinkedIn.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that, Madhav. The next question is, how much would you guys recommend considering Australia as a destination for undergraduation? And did any one of you consider applying to Australia? So I think Pratna, did you consider Australia?
Initially I did, but then when I started with my applications for US, it just got a little hectic, so I just slightly removed it from the list. But definitely it's a good option. I know some people who are studying there and they seem pretty happy. Uh, but then again, it depends on what kind of college experience you're looking for and what do you want after you graduate. So just look at all the pros and cons before deciding. But I think Australia is a good option.
Okay, so how does the application process, is it very different? Does the for the Australian universities, does it look very different when compared to US or Canada?
Uh, I never started with the application process. I started with US and then I never really went to the uh, for Australian colleges. But I for a fact, I know that you can start late with your applications. So honestly, if you don't want to study in your home country, you just like want to go out of the country just for the sake of it, then Australia would be a good backup option.
Right. Thank you, Pratna. The next question is actually about Germany, and so would you guys recommend applying to Germany? I think even recently Germany completely waived off tuition fees for some universities, if not all. So, Utsav, did you apply to European countries? Maybe Germany, or do you what do you generally feel about Germany? Do you think it's a good option for Indian students?
Um, I, I have a friend who is going to France this fall. So it depends. For example, for students, uh, he is a science student in India. Like he took PCM, but he wishes to pursue a business over there. And from the review which I received, Europe in general is good for business, and it's also good for engineering students. Like Germany has some really nice engineering schools. And the only thing about Germany, as far as I know, is you should all there might be some prerequisites about languages. You need to see whether the university offers classes in English or not, and whether you need to have some maybe a certificate in German or particular qualification in German language or not. This holds true for many European universities. I think all of you should just research about these type of things.
Right. Thank you, Utsav. Um, After that, there are questions about Asian countries, for instance, Korea or Japan or China. So, considering I'm sure there are so many. Like the only one I'm aware of is NYU, the campus in Shanghai. So, kind of, did you while you were applying to Abu Dhabi's campus, did you consider the Shanghai campus or any other campuses in Asian countries?
Right. So, as I said before, my initial criteria for shortlisting colleges was financial aid. So, out of the three campuses, the Abu Dhabi campus is the most generous in financial aid and scholarships, and the New York and the Shanghai campus are not as compared to Abu Dhabi. So I did not consider applying there. However, if this is not a criteria very crucial to you, then you should consider NYU Shanghai. Um, They have an extremely rigorous business and economics program, and there are also, of course, language requirements. So if you're interested in that, and also since the NYU network has 14 campuses, as I've been mentioning, you can essentially take study aways and go to one of the 14 campuses spread throughout the world. So you could be going to the main campus, you could be going to Europe, you could be going to South America and other places. So if you're interested in that sort of learning, then you should definitely check NYU Shanghai.
And Kainath, I think the next question is also relevant to you since you're studying in Gulf country, UAE. Did you have to submit your TOEFL or IELTS score, like an English proficiency test?
Right. So I would say that NYU AD has all similar application processes to any other American university. I was not required to send in an IELTS or TOEFL score, but I did send in my TOEFL score either way, but it was not a requirement. And you're expected to send in other ways of qualifying for the English requirement. So you can send in your score for your national exam or the SATs or a subject test. So there are different ways to meet that.
And another question which we've been receiving is, for instance, let's say a student did particularly well in, let's say, 9th and 10th grade, and moving on, like in 11th, his or her scores slightly went down. So academically speaking, the application doesn't look that strong. So for a student like that, what would you recommend? What would your recommendation be, Madhav?
Yeah, I would say like uh, for international students, especially from India, 11th grade might be like a huge bump. It was for me, it was for a lot of people. It's fine. Like till the time you have an upward graph, like ninth you have 85, 10th you get 87, 11th you get okay 80, and then 12th midterms you get again like 90 or something. If it shows that you are consistently improving yourself, minor setbacks, it's fine. But overall, you should also be able to supplement it with good SAT scores, good AP scores, subjective scores. These are all very essential. So show that you're academically rigorous, so that you're curious about studying. If you just have like low scores, 70s and stuff, it just shows you're lazy, and it it will be really tough to get in good colleges. So I would say, uh, especially for Indian students, the competition out there is really tough. You are competing with fellow Indians who have like excellent academics, 95 plus throughout. So you need good scores. I would say, for international students in general, excluding India, like IB is like very universalized everywhere, so that may help as well. But yeah, academics usual. Like if I had to rank things, academics number one, and your rank, your SATs, everything, then your essays, then your extracurriculars. So then your demonstrated interest and your ethnicity, your race, in some colleges, your religion, lots of factors to take into consideration. So yeah, I would say just one piece of advice: uh, if you are a good student, just supplement it with several different factors to prove that you're a good student.
So if, for instance, if a student has done not so well in 9th grade, but has shown consistent improvement in 10th, 11th, 12th, that's definitely a good thing, and it would like play out in their favor. So I think after that, our last question will be relevant to Utsav again, which is that does IB help your application in UBC as well as other colleges? Considering you like if your school didn't have the IB curriculum, if there's anyone in particular who was in the school with the IB curriculum, what would you say to that?
Um, I guess, like for example, any university considering Indian students, they know for a fact that the student might come from different boards or different curriculum. Like for example, on UBC's website, they themselves have different different criterias. For example, if you're from IB, you need to, after 12th grade, you need to have these particular set of scores. After, for example, for CBSE, you need to have at least 85% plus. And like, obviously, you send in your predicted scores first during the entire application process, but some universities might have a conditional offer, like conditional offer that you need to have 85% plus, or you should not, your predicted scores and your actual scores should not have a like vast difference. So I won't say that having an IB will help for UBC. I'm not sure about American universities, but I know for a fact that UBC considers CBSE's scores equally.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Utsav. And I think with that we've essentially covered everything, and we've answered the questions of our attendees here. And with that, I just want to highlight that I am aware that most of you are doing internships, you've got your assignments, you're doing summer courses, and I realize that you guys are involved with your universities as of now. And I just want to thank all our panelists here for making the time to join us here on the Ecology webinar series. It means a lot. And I'm sure that all of us, no matter what grade we are in, I'm sure all of us are going to take away something very, very meaningful from here. And hopefully this made the entire application process much, much more clearer for us. And thank you so much for joining us here. It means a lot, not only to me, but the entire college team working behind the series. And to our attendees, thank you so much for joining us here today. Thank you so much for coming here on this webinar series. If you found this to be useful, we do this series twice every week. So we have our webinars scheduled for Wednesdays and Fridays every week, and we take up similar topics. Sometimes we have people on board from admissions, the admission body of counselors. Sometimes we have representatives from universities. And so if you found this to be helpful for you, just make sure that you stay tuned with Ecology and what our upcoming webinars will be. And in order to do that, I will leave below the Instagram handle of Ecology. So make sure you're following us so that you know what webinars are upcoming and so that you don't miss out on anything. One request to the panelists would be a lot of students a lot of attendees were asking if they could in any way contact you. So if you're comfortable with it, you can share your email IDs in the chat box. I feel that would be really helpful for them. For those of our panelists who can do that, that would be really, really helpful. And another sort of announcement before we end today's webinar is that for those students, since most of you are 11th and 12th graders, looking to build their profiles, I think something very, very relevant to you. If you're interested in, making an impact, doing a social change, if there's something you feel strongly about, no matter what it is, it can range from mental health to, animal rights to anything at all. If it's a social cause, if it's meaningful to you, and if you want to convert it into a full-fledged program, a full-fledged project, the college also offers the big picture project, which will, in your case, be really, really helpful for you. And the information for the same is on our Instagram handle. So I highly recommend you guys to check that out. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And with that, I think we've covered everything. Thank you so much.